sit right now, man.
Okay. So I'm glad that we finally got to have this meeting. You know, a lot of you I've worked with. First of all, my name is Mysonne. I'm an activist and a hip hop artist. I'm based out of New York. I work with the Justice League NYC, Together for Justice. I do security for the Women's March National Organization. So I'm familiar with a lot of people. Me and Griggs, me and the city, Queen, we work with a lot of people. I haven't met none of the mothers yet. You know, I'm here for y'all. If you ever need me, I'm here. Jermaine, I've known over 20 years, do music. So it felt good to be able to bring all of this together. You know, there's definitely been a lot of talk about what's going on with the NFL and why the protest is. Me and him got into a discussion that's about the protest, about a statement that he made. And as friends, you know, we had gotten into a conversation. He called me. I said something to him. He called me. We got on the phone. And we had a discussion. I explained to him. He understood what I was saying. And from there, we reached a mutual understanding. You know, unfortunately, y'all have not been able to have that meeting. So I'm glad that I was able to facilitate that and be able to bring us into this meeting right now so that we can find some clarity, some understanding, so everybody understands everybody's position, everybody's understanding of what's going on, and then hopefully we can have some collective resolve to where everybody is comfortable, to where the families are happy, to where Jermaine is comfortable with what he has to do as a businessman because he's doing his business, and everybody just understands everybody's position. So that's my role. I'm just going to be a fly on the wall because, you know, but I wanted to be able here because I know both sides of the parties, most of them, and be able to facilitate the meeting so that there's been disagreements back and forth on social media and back and forth. So I wanted to make sure that the meeting took place in a very understanding environment when people come to reach an understanding and get to some type of meeting. So, who wants to speak first?
Well, I'm happy to jump in. First off, thank you for facilitating the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Dupri, for setting the meeting up. The reason I wanted this meeting to happen is we had a conversation after your assistant reached out to me on Instagram, and you agreed to meet with the mothers and the families who've been affected by police brutality in Atlanta. I wanted you to hear from Ms. Felicia Thomas, Ms. Monteria Robinson, and my best friend over there, Mr. D. Thomas, who have been affected directly because you indicated that you did not know about the cases, and these are just some of the cases in Atlanta. And then we want to talk about how we move forward. I know your position with regard to Super Bowl Live, you know my position, but it's not about us. It's about them because they've been directly affected. So what I would like to do is, if they feel up to it, I would like for them to tell you their stories about how they've been affected directly in this city by actions by law enforcement here, and how our protests have led to positive movement in this city, and then we can move from there.
My name is Monteria Robinson. I am the mother of Jermaine Robinson. My son Jermaine was killed on August 5th, 2016. At the time of my son's death, he was actually inside his girlfriend's apartment watching movies. Her front door was battle ram open, and actually my son was shot over 50 times. And they dropped a false narrative to the media that my son had a shootout with police. I said, no, that's not my son. My son's a student athlete at Tuskegee University, so come with a better narrative than that. So at that time, my family and I, we hired, an investigator, we hired a forensic person, we hired a ballistic person, etc. And so with all that being said, after shooting my son, according to the medical examiner report, my son had 76 bullet wounds to his body. Someone stood over him and shot down into his body. My son was shot 6 times in the palm of his right hand, 5 times in the palm of his left hand. He was shot in his arms, his legs, all of his torso, his groin, his thighs, his shins, his feet. But they dropped the narrative that my son had a shootout with police. But due to me hiring my own investigator, my forensic, my ballistic person, I'm able to trump their story, which have led With all the marching and protesting that we have done in the community, we have given out over 50,000 of those flyers, which have led to the DA reaching out to the Department of Justice, because they have not turned over the investigation piece, because I'm sure no investigation was done by the DOJ in reference to my son's case. With that being said, December the 28th, I stood with Paul Howard, who is the DA of Fulton County. He is filing a federal suit against the DOJ because they did not release the records pertaining to my son's death. And with that being said, I kind of wrote out some stuff that I would like to read, that while we protest for a lot of different reasons. We protest and march for our children that we lost to police terrorism. Sometimes we protest against establishments. Sometimes we protest against unfair laws and injustices. And you must also remember that Dr. King protested silently. We protest so that our children's voices can be heard. It brings about awareness, it brings about community involvement, and it also brings about action. And I can personally say from my point of view that marching and protesting, as I stated, just marching and protesting, we have done so many different events here in Atlanta. I've been in other states. We have distributed over 50,000 flyers to the public, which has escalated, awareness about my son's case. And as I stated, that Paul Howard, he actually informed me himself that he has had thousands of phone calls from the public, from the media, from calls, from tweets to emails in reference to my son's case, which has helped increase awareness. Do I think we need a larger or higher platform? Yes, I do. I think that we need celebrities such as yourself. And there's other celebrities here in Atlanta that we can name, T.I., Luda,
Jermaine.
Thank you. That can come stand with us so that our voices can be escalated. I also think that, a lot of people don't realize that police terrorism exists here in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So some people think it happens to the poor or the less fortunate. But we want people to be aware that police brutality, police terrorism, it exists here in Atlanta. They're killing our children every single day. Every single day, one African-American male is killed by police. So with that being said, it doesn't matter what your class, your race, your religion, your ethnic background. It can happen to any status in life. And to be honest, before this happened to me, I had a six-figure income salary. But since I have lost my son, have I been able to go back to work, sit down in an office and make it seem as though I'm happy? No, I have not. My job has been to fight to get justice for my son, Jermaine Robinson. My job now, as I said, is to be the voice for him and getting justice for him. And just with everything being said, it's been emotional. It's a mental stress on us, as the parents of our lost loved ones. We have had to absorb funeral costs, attorney fees, private investigation fees, ballistic fees, forensic costs, which has placed added stress on us, making it possible for us to function in our daily activities. And this is what we will continue to do, and our voices will not be silenced. So I just kind of want to say that, out loud, because it took us as a team. It took the community, it took the activists, it took my family, it took everyone involved for me to bring about the awareness, to put pressure on Paul Howard, to force his hand to put pressure on the DOJ. And if it wouldn't have been for you guys helping me, my voice wouldn't have been heard. So I would like to applaud you all, the activists, the community, the churches that have embraced us. I would like to say thank you. If I've never said thank you before, I would like to say thank you. I love you. I appreciate you guys standing with me, fighting with me, helping, me tell my story. So I don't want to take up any more time, but that's kind of what I would like to say.
To Mr. JD. Mr. JD. Let me tell you something. Take a knee is the biggest protest since the 60s. And you're crossing that picket line. I am the mother of Nicholas Thomas. He got executed March 24th by the Smyrna police. He was at his job. You see that little baby in the picture? That's his daughter. She's a mother. She's a daughter. She's my granddaughter. She has no father. She walks around to young men. Are you my daddy? When is my daddy coming back home? Are you my father? Where's my daddy, Gigi? And I have to explain that to her every day, that he's never coming back. My son was at his job, and his boss, well, I'll start over. The day before, it was like a TI case. He was on South Cobb Drive, and they basically, he was driving while black, and he had a probation violation, a marijuana, traffic tickets, stupid stuff like young black men get. So they came to our house, and they wanted to search my house. My husband said, get the hell off my property, you don't have a search warrant. And they got mad because my husband spoke to them in a term that they didn't like. So the next morning, they met at the Publix behind my son's job. It was about 200 cop cars out there, the postman told me, because my P.O. box is right there, right in front. He says about 200 police cars. It was Smyrna and it was Cobb County. They had an ambulance on site before they killed my child. Okay, so they go on his job. His boss gives him a key to a Maserati. Do you remember that case on that boy? A kid got killed in a Maserati? Yeah, remember that video that Future made? March Madness? That's my son. So they gave him the key to that Maserati, and he was pulled into the service bay because he was a mechanic. He didn't steal that car. He was a mechanic. He worked on the car. So all of a sudden the police officers come, and he's nervous. They let out dogs. They had AK-47s, helicopters around. The woman who was next door, she was the manager of the Starbucks. She closed her Starbucks down. She said she thought it was a bank robber. Okay? They claimed that my son went around the corner of his job, behind the back of his job, and was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because they had dogs on him. Would you get out of a car if there were live dogs out there and guns pointed towards you? No, you would be afraid. He was 24 years of age. He had everything going for him. You know, he had a job. So he was going back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. So they got tired of it. They claimed that he was trying to run over a police officer, but clearly in the video, you see him going this way, and the police officer this way. So he got killed. They shot him in the back, not in the front, the back. Now, if you're trying to run over somebody, wouldn't the bullets come from the front? No, they shot him through his lungs, and he died instantly on the scene. And you know why we fight? Because guess what? Like I tell everybody, I was the mother, had that white picket fence. You know what I'm saying? I lived in a $500,000 house. You know, I had it all. I have a husband, I have another son. But every Christmas and every Thanksgiving, guess what? I never will see my son again. So that's why we protest. We protest for the rights of our people. Because if you don't fight for nothing, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. And no amount of money, JD, does not matter. No amount of money. Because it's blood money. You're not inside that Mercedes-Benz. The white man has you outside the Mercedes-Benz. That's why we fight for our people. I love my people. This man right here, he's been through us through thick and thin. This queen right here, this young lady works with my oldest son, and she knows my oldest son he's a bad brother in Atlanta. You can't tear us down. You go ahead and make that money, but I'll tell you one thing you could do if you want to do something positive. There's children of police brutality that don't have scholarships. This money that you're going to make, set up scholarship funds for these children.
Okay, let's be clear. Let me just be clear. Let's clear this up for you. I don't know who told you what information you had that was given to you, but everything that you're telling me, I offered y'all a platform so that you could get your word out and be heard. The same way she just said. So you, whatever energy that you're pointing at me, and whatever you saying, somebody gave me money and this, that, and third, I don't know where you're getting your information from.
So you're not making any money off of this?
I'm making money to do what I do as an entertainer, okay? But what the platform is that you're asking for, and the platform that she just asked for before you spoke, is to let people hear what you're saying. I told this man on the phone, I was gonna give y'all the platform to speak to 20,000, 30,000 people. This is what I told him, right? He took it and said, I invited y'all to a concert. This was not about no concert. So pause, hold on, no, wait. Let me finish. I never said nothing about I want to invite y'all to a concert. I said use my platform to be heard. Is that not what I said? Use my platform to be heard. Now, to sit here and point fingers, talking about I'm making money, this, that, and the third, you have your information wrong. I'm doing what I gotta do as an entertainer. I offered my platform so you can speak to people that have never heard your story, never heard your story, never heard your story, never heard your story. Y'all information has been given to y'all wrong.
Well, why would you even cross that line? Why would you even...
What line?
It's Take a Knee. Do you know what that protest is about?
What
Do you know what Take a Knee protest is about?
What are you talking about, though?
Do you know what Take a Knee protest is about? Explain to me what Take a Knee means.
You said, what protest?
What does protesting mean?
What I told you about the issue of you having a concert that's Super Bowl live that crosses the picket line. We don't want to have anything to do with the Super Bowl. And to clarify, you said you said you'd offer the platform. I put your assistant in touch with my assistant. The next information I got was they were getting tickets to a concert. I have the text.
It's not a ticketed event, it's a free event. I never said tickets, but
Dante?
Like Dante and I, we spoke, and I said it was a miscommunication because it's not a ticketed event, it's a free event, and the families are welcome to come and they're welcome to speak on the platform. And that's it.
Okay, let me say this.
So, just for clarity, because I was the one that relayed the information, what I was told is that they could come to the concert.
Okay,
there was nothing about using your platform.
Cool. Listen, he heard me say this before I even spoke to anybody else. My point is this. Y'all want to have a meeting. Y'all want me to understand what's going on. You giving me what's going on. I feel like I said before, you get on social media, you doing all these videos with Goody Mob, this, that, and the third. You're using it as a platform for people to be heard. Don't reverse what you're doing and then try to say I'm doing something different. All I did was offer y'all my platform so people can hear y'all story. If that's not what you want, then I don't know what we're talking about. Because I'm saying the more people that hear what's going on is the more people that help the situation.
I'm saying somebody like in the NFL is not going to be like, oh, we want these families to come and talk about why.
Not to be rude, everybody else in his position said no.
Yeah. Cool.
But why does it matter if everybody else said no? Who said no? Who do they ask?
What happened? What you mean?
When we're saying like all the bigger artists, the majority of the artists are boycotting the Super Bowl, period.
No, they're not.
No, I mean, okay, I'm booking people for Super Bowl parties to host.
Wait, time. Nobody is boycotting Super Bowl. Now, if you're talking about JayZ chose to not do Super Bowl because they don't pay the artists to perform. Nobody's boycotting Super Bowl. The artists are not performing at Super Bowl, they don't pay you.
We know that.
Okay, so boycott is not the word that they're using. JayZ sent me a message to let anybody know he's not boycotting. It's a choice that he chose to not do Super Bowl. So if you're running behind that, you're being misled. And if you think anybody in Atlanta, T.I., Ludacris, any one of these artists that y'all want to name is not doing something that has something to do remotely controlled by this Super Bowl that's coming to this weekend, you're completely fooled. Everybody has something to do with Super Bowl that weekend. Everybody. Every one of these artists. But they don't have my platform. I have the biggest platform and I'm going to have the most people. And I offered y'all my platform and y'all acted like I was just trying to throw y'all a little concert ticket. That's why I'm here at this meeting.
So what is it? What do y'all want to utilize?
I want to, me personally.
I would like to.
Yes.
Okay, I was told y'all don't even want to come.
No one can answer or speak for me.
The miscommunication is everybody was told something that was wrong. So right now we're sitting here to clarify. The families would you like to use the platform?
This is where I'm at on it. Before I even speak on it, because I don't, the Super Bowl is one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Us getting pulled over and getting our brain blown out every day.
Thank you.
And all of us are businessmen and women in here at some point, even if it's just throughout the household. So, brother, I understand you in business. I'm not knocking you for doing what you do. You're an entertainer. You're in that business, and you're in the business of doing business. We all are at some point. What I'm asking is that
all of us, whether we like it or not, no matter what anybody's income is, your address is, how much money you got in the bank, how many cars you have, or anything, jets, whatever you have, it doesn't matter. When you get pulled over, you got the same ratio of dying as anybody else. We've all sat at home and saw these stories on the news. Listen, when it happened to me, when it happened to my son, this woman, Felicia Thomas, I tell her this story all the time. She started running through my head, her story. I could play it back verbatim through my head, you know, everything. Her son being killed, because I'm like, damn, my son just got his brains blown out by a cop. He didn't have a weapon. He wasn't a suspect of anything. The cop didn't even have a description of him. The cop wasn't even there for him. The cop was responding to by default, officer needs assistance, because the officer went radio silent for too long. And as this cop was pulling in, my son was driving away in his girlfriend's vehicle, with, you know, a female friend's vehicle. This cop doesn't know who this is. He doesn't even know if it's a baby seat in the car. But he still got out because this gun and this badge that they are getting assigned, it gives them a platform, if we can say. It gives these cops a mental platform to be super who they are. See, he didn't just that night become that person. That badge and that gun that was assigned to him, it gave him that power where he could get out and get behind his car safely and say, I don't know who this nigga is, but I'm gonna blow his brains out because he's running. See, they've had that same mentality since slavery. We can't run, we can't say nothing, we can't do nothing, you know. And I'm not knocking you for anything that you got going on. Really, I'm just getting to an understanding about the whole, you know, tickets were offered, platform was offered. Really, none of that is so much my deal. What I would like to see is that we need you, because you have a platform, whether or not you want it for whatever reason you can use it for. It's been assigned to you for more than just entertainment, because we bought your records too.
Yes.
We support your artists too. I support you. You from Atlanta. Me and you can talk outside this room, and we know a lot of the same people when that camera off. You know what I'm saying? I know what you got to do. You know, you can't just sit around and just say, well, you know, I'm just not gonna do nothing no more. You know, I know you got to eat, but you also have this community that supports you. You Jermaine Dupri from Atlanta. When people say Atlanta, we got 5 artists that automatically jump in our head.
Right.
JD, Luda,
T.I.
Outkast.
yeah, Little Mark. You know what I'm saying? We got our artists. We got our artists, and we have our faces. But you have a power. You have a power. I ain't saying don't use your power for what you use it for, but I'm saying use it for what you can use it for also. See, I don't know what conversation went on between you and Brother Griggs. I don't know that. I'm not even here on judgment of that. What I'm here is for us to, let's get some type of understanding. Let's all of us get on the same page. You know, let's everybody acknowledge the fact that it's not just a problem when it happens to you, it's a problem before it happens to you. It's a problem before it happens to you.
Can I speak on behalf of them? And Meek Mill did an interview in the Breakfast Club, and people was mad at him. He was like, I'm using my platform right now, and I'm gonna talk about this. The minute that it jeopardizes my income, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
But that's his reality.
Yeah.
Let me stop you right there. I just want to clear this up. I'm not doing Super Bowl for money. I'm from Atlanta. I'm from College Park. I have been stopped by the police a million zillion times. I know exactly what y'all talking about. I just want to make sure I clarify this. If everybody keeps talking about you doing this for money, you gotta eat. I'm doing this for Atlanta. The artists that's performing at Super Bowl Live don't have my platform. I'm doing the exact same thing that I'm saying for y'all. I'm doing for Goody Mob. I'm doing for Kilo Ali, I'm doing for Shadi, I'm doing for Smurf, I'm doing for everybody that I grew up on listening to and other people that I feel like put down in this city. You don't know what happened, so I'm gonna rewind this. This young man was on the radio calling me out my name about being involved with Super Bowl. Not one person in this room called me. I found his number, called him directly. Me, personally. So you say somebody put this on me to use my platform, I reached out to him and called him and said, listen, I offer my platform to the families so they can come on the stage, speak their stories, and let all these people be heard. Let y'all be heard by all of these people that's in town. Whether it be white, Chinese, black, purple, whatever it is. The crowd is there. I'm going to have the biggest audience. This is what I said, and this is what happened. God, honest the truth. Where this went left at, I could never tell you because I said, once Super Bowl Live starts, I was going to have y'all come down. Everybody can go on the stage, say what they got to say, do what they got to do. I'll introduce everybody and introduce it as the way it's supposed to be introduced. And y'all take y'all time to have y'all story. If the audience is the crowd of people that don't, if that's, y'all gotta deal with what's going on. At that point, I can't, you know what I mean? I'm giving y'all a platform to speak to as many people as possible. Are they gonna listen? Yeah, they gonna listen. Can y'all pass these out? Yes, you can. You can do whatever you want to do. It's a free event. It's in Atlanta. Not one time did I say this ain't happening. Not one time did I say this can't happen. So I don't really understand where this got to a situation where everybody feel like, Jermaine, you getting money and you doing this and you got to do it for this and this.
Well, we weren't in the loop of the conversation, so we as the parents, we don't know what happened. So
can I share something? So let me introduce myself, and I met you several times before, but my name is Yonasda Lonewolf. I'm a national community organizer, and I sat next to you. I'm the granddaughter of the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan. We sat next to each other when he met with all the celebrities and talking about By the Hood and everything like that. And growing up in the movement and revolution, I always saw that there's different positions in revolution. My grandfather has said several times to rap artists that he said that 100 of his speeches is equivalent to one hip hop song. He said that's the power of hip hop. For 80 plus years, my grandfather has sacrificed, never sold his soul, sold out the people for him speaking the truth, living the truth, and helping people from all around the world. And as you know, you've been around the family several times, as you know that he loves hip hop. He's always going to the rappers, always going to this industry because he knows that we are closer to the community in hip hop. And with my brother Mysonne, it goes down to a question that you have to ask yourself on, what am I using my influence for? Now, the reason why it turned left is because when we have been in the streets for her son and his, it's been like 100 people, or it might be when we shut down the freeway in Atlanta when T.I. ended up coming down. And even with him coming down, that influence of him being there was like, oh my God, you know, we have that support. It gets very frustrating when it's just, when you're passionate to try to get freedom, justice, and equality, and then there's people that you feel that should have that influence or to use that influence to amplify that fight. It gets frustrated. Like me and my son, we worked on the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. We reached out to so many celebrities. Can you help us? This is the, you know, this is justice or else. And there was so many celebrities that, and my grandfather is a hard, I mean, a lot of people, especially those that run the entertainment, some of them can't even publicly say they love Farrakhan because of the backlash that they're receiving, things like that. But that also goes down to even with standing up for freedom, justice, and equality. So I believe that it's a level of frustration, and it's not. I would say this, and I'm not speaking for them, but I would say that for you as Jermaine Dupri, not to take it personal of that frustration. I think that it goes down to those that are in, especially in Atlanta, like we need that influence. So the platform is great, but there's more power and more influence that you can be able to utilize and use to help their cases. And not just them, but even the connection that you have with the mayor, even the connections that you have with, and that's also more exerted energy, but it also goes down to like, okay, what position do I want to, in revolution, that I want to help our people? You know, and that's a question that you have to ask yourself.
Well, I mean, I think personally, I mean, as a person that, you know, a pretty organized person, I believe that, you know, reaching out to somebody first makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
I was not reached out to. I reached out to these people. You understand?
Can I clarify something real quick, right? And here's why I said what I said. You got on a world platform and said boycotting and protesting are ineffective. Now you said it was in your opinion. And then it went back to all of the work that we've been doing here, getting hit with bikes, getting all kinds of death threats and all this other stuff. So yes, I said what I said on the radio to get a reaction.
And what was the question that they asked me?
They asked you, do you believe that boycott? I can't remember what I know what your response was.
What was the question?
What was the question?
The question was, how do you feel about all the boycotting and everything that's going on with Super Bowl? I said, as far as I'm concerned, the marching and the boycotting does not work as much as me using my platform for people to be heard. That's exactly what I said. And I still feel that way right now. This meeting that we're having right now, nobody knows about it. But if I was to open the doors up and let people see and people hear the stories and everybody else, it's gonna move.
But that's where we differ, because I had this conversation with you and I explained to you how.
Yeah, I listen. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying. You're making an assumption based on knowledge that you don't have. I was trying to explain to you, like, we've got laws changed.
Yeah.
Literally got laws changed. These are things that really happen. So when you say it's not as effective,
what I'm saying for me. And by the way, I did not leave that out. I said for me. I said in my perspective. Did I not say my perspective? My perspective.
So let me say that.
And that's why we brought this here.
But if you have
I get it, but
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to me, JD. Let me explain the difference of what you're saying. When you have a perspective, right, and your perspective can be 80 is more than 90. You don't have an opinion about facts. You can't give your opinion about facts. I'm giving you facts though. So your opinion, you can't tell me that.
I'm not giving my opinion.
That's what you just said.
My perspective.
A perspective is your own personal opinion from where your lens.
As far as me doing it, you understand what I'm saying? As far as what I would do is do it the way I would.
Okay, no, but that's different. Yeah. Saying that you would rather do something and saying that your way is more effective is different. That's two different things.
That's basically what I was saying. I was defending why I'm doing something.
Okay, I get it. Saying I would rather do this. You think that you can be more effective in
what I'm doing.
But that's different than saying that what somebody else doing is less effective than what you're doing. That's a completely different thing. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why somebody took it personal. If you say but just listen to what I'm saying. That's like somebody telling me, yo, you and Jermaine Dupri do something. I'm like, yeah, what he doing don't really do as much as what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what.
Or say, yo, if I say,
I wouldn't feel no kind of way,
but I would. See, I'm saying I would take it personal. A lot of people take it personal. Now, if somebody came to me about JD and said, well, JD does it his way, I do it this way. That's a different connotation. That's a different interpretation. When people hear that, they're gonna be like, all right, he do it his way, I do it my way. But to say that your way is more effective than what I'm doing, that's belittling what I'm saying, what I'm doing. Right. So that's what I want you to say. That's why people personalize it. That's why the lady came in and she just read to you the effects of what marching and things have done, because everybody took what you said as an attack on their way of protesting and building understanding. That's how it was taken. That's why we had. That's why when I said it to you, that's how I took it.
And prime example, when Get made a statement on his Instagram, because it sounded like he attacked us, but then when he went on his platform and reiterated, it was more so towards the entertainment.
This is well clarified.
You just got to make sure, you got to be crystal clear when you go on. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing.
I'm just saying, listen. First of all, just like just like you spoke and you addressed me saying the white man, I'm not, my event is not even at Mercedes Stadium, okay? Just so we clear on what's going on. The way I'm being addressed about this means everybody has information about me completely wrong.
But that's what.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying, these guys have had their Instagram going with the facts, okay? With the facts, and continuing to keep spilling this information as if I'm out here deliberately using what I'm doing to turn my cheek at what's going on right now.
What you're saying, but obviously the information got transported to him, and it was wrong. So I don't want us to keep drilling on the fact that let's move forward because
I'm just
I want you right. Everybody say
he wasn't clear on what's going on, so I'm just giving.
But I want to clarify something too. Bro, when I said I know you gotta eat, see, I'm not even talking about Super Bowl, bro. That's one day. That's one day. I want to be clear on that right now. That's one day, man. What I'm saying is that I understand you're an entertainer. I'm not expecting you to say, well, hey, I've stopped entertaining and now I'm just a full-time protester.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that I'm standing on what I just said, man. We all have a voice. Some of us can speak louder than others in certain rooms.
That's right.
And when you're in those rooms, if you don't speak on things, then those people who know it just as well as you know what's going on, then they mark you on the list as, he ain't with that, he don't care nothing about that. So we ain't worry about JD, he ain't on that list. That's all I'm saying. I didn't hear the radio interview. I didn't hear that. I'm here for clarification, but I'm also here to clarify. I'm not here to attack you and what you do. What I'm saying is, when you get in those rooms where your voice is louder than my voice,
right.
Your voice is louder than her voice, his voice, your voice. Speak, bro. Speak.
What I wanted to say is, before I was interrupted before, but I'm in that. But basically what I'm saying is this. The reality of the situation is, we have an opportunity to utilize the platform, right? And we have an opportunity based on utilizing that platform to build something. Right. To build. JD sat down, the man took time from his day, flew me out here and said, I want to have this meeting. Because he really wants to understand, he wanted to get clarity. When he first offered his platform, he wanted to be like, okay, I want the voices of these parents and these families to be heard. I want to utilize that. So that's where it starts at.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't as engulfed in this situation prior to that. He didn't know about what the effects of marching was. He didn't know none of these things. Me and him had a conversation. We're educating him slowly. So what happens is, based on this, we're able to win people to our cause. You make people feel like, I want to be involved in that. Like, let's not make this worse than it is. Right now, we have an opportunity to build. I don't want us to go back and forth about who said what. Now right now we have an opportunity to build. A man wants to give his platform. I have an open line of communication with him. When I realize something's going on, then I can call JD and say, "Oh, JD, I might need you. Could you post this up for me? Or I need you to come down here for us." That might be something that we can do because now we're building towards that. Right. We can't say that JD's gonna be the face of the movement right now. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? So I just right now, this is a step in the right direction. We get JD in this situation. He gives us his platform. Maybe it's another situation. He's able to help us do something else. You know, you go up there and speak. We pick somebody to speak. We tell them to start a GoFundMe page or something to where they can donate and help towards. Like, these are things that these are tangible things that we can do right now. And like he said, and based on that, then we can move forward. And based on that, he might feel inclined to say, you know what, I want to support them further than this. Right. So let's utilize this time right now. Let's utilize what we have right now, and continue to build on that. And let's not go back and forth. I don't want us to keep, who said what. We know there was already miscommunication. That's why we came here, to get clarity and build communication. Everybody's clear now. The man wants to give a platform. You just wanted to get the platform. You got the wires got miscrossed. Now we clear. Everybody is on the same page. Let's build from there and let's move on. Because all of us we dealing with the same fight. We are minority black people in America that could get killed any day, and we know that. Some of us got a couple more dollars than others. Some of us have bigger voices. Some of us don't. But everybody plays a part. So we just got to find a way that everybody fits into this movement. Even if it's a little bit, if we get a little bit from JD and he help us, and then we get a little bit from more, and he can be like, yo, I helped them before. Like, this is how we build. It's building community. It's building unity. So So I don't want us to keep bickering. I just want us to get past. So we're going to utilize this platform.
Yes.
JD is going to allow us to utilize. We're going to strategically sit down because I'm going to tell you right now, 5 people going up there telling their story, a whole stadium is not going to listen to. So, so we need to sit down and strategically plan how we're going to do it. How we're going to get something to raise some funds. How we're going to build a GoFundMe page. How we're going to have T-shirts that you can sell out there. Like things like that that's going to make sense.
Or a dope video.
Or dope, whatever it is. We sit there and we figure out how this is going to make sense.
One thing I want to say, because I did it with Gift, I'm definitely going to do with you. The fact that you opened your platform to us. And just like, if I say things that are out of context, I always recant. I go back and talk to my people. I talk to my Instagram. I talk to my followers. Because when Gift came on the show, and we had that one-on-one, and after we talked, I went straight to my social media. It's like, look, boom, 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 boom. And, you know, hearing some of the things that you're saying now, and seeing where we're at with the clarity of the platform, I'm going to do the same. So don't think I'm out here like, well, I got a target on you forever. It's just, when we're told certain things and we see certain things, you know, when we dealing with, like I stood next to this woman get hit with a bike on 17th Street, bid from a cop. It's just, we have a different feeling for it. So anytime somebody say anything against protesting, I'm gonna tell you this, and they all can tell you, I'm the newest member of civil rights in Atlanta. Like, I just started this year with Shakisha Clemens. So, you know what I mean? Like, I was one of the ones who was always on social media, doing that in the third, until I got affected to it personally. And then, you know, and just,
with the Waffle House.
With the Waffle House situation. So when I see mothers crying, or mothers getting walked over at a football game, or mothers can't come out the house, then I hear somebody at your magnitude, granted, I grew up to your music, I grew up on all of that, say things like that, or that's how it's perceived or edited, it rubs us the wrong way. So I'm going to be the first one to apologize if I disrespected you or your platform.
That's what men do.
I mean, well, let me just say this, just so, I mean, like I said, I don't know how, you know, how much y'all know. I mean, I'm from College Park. And College Park is College Park. I have dealt with police brutality. I've dealt with it from being a millionaire, by the way. So it's not something that I'm just sitting here and I'm sitting here in front of y'all. I ain't get shot, but I done dealt with it from a perspective of being 17, driving a Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta, Georgia, before Atlanta, Georgia was popping the way it is right now. I know exactly what's going on. I done been held down by Red Dog, by the College Park Red Dogs. I done been locked down by Atlanta police just from parking my car on the side of the street. I done had these situations that happened to me just from being small guy, looking like, you know, whatever I'm doing before people know who I am. So I understand exactly what's going on. Now, losing a life, yeah, that's different. But I mean, I understand, I feel y'all pain. And like I said, like he just said, I extend my platform. That's all I can tell you. That's what I came here to clarify. And you haven't said that you was in yet.
Listen, I'm in whatever works as a collective. Like, I'm not in anything that's throwing you under the bus. I'm not in anything that puts us in front of the bus to be here either. But I'm in whatever will help us as a collective. Because like I said, man, the Super Bowl is just one day. That's one game, one event.
But it's a day to build momentum.
Right.
There's 20,000 people that might not have known what you was going through, understood that you can build momentum and continue to build up.
I'm with it. But no matter what we do on the day of the Super Bowl, what are we going to do today?
That's why we playing.
That's why I'm at.
The key is playing right now from the day to the Super Bowl to every day afterwards. How are we going to utilize that platform? It's just like it's art. As an artist, I got to say, every time I get on the platform, how I'm going to make that platform turn into something for a year later. Yeah. So that's the key to it. The key to it is coming up with a strategy. We're going to get this platform. How are we going to make sure that this turns into
Ms. Tilson. I want you to make sure you hear her story also.
Hello, how are you? You want me to tell it now? My son's name is Shali Tilson, and he was murdered in the Rockdale County Jail in March 2018. Our son was picked up at our old apartment complex. He was having a mental health crisis, knocking on our old apartment door, and he was arrested by the Rockdale County Jail, and they held him for 9 days on 2 misdemeanors. It was, I'm sorry. He was held on disorderly conduct, and obstruction of a police officer. The first 3 days he was in the jail, he was held without bond. Our son didn't have a record. He wasn't on probation. He didn't have any criminal record. He was studying criminal justice for the past 2 years before he had been arrested. My husband and I went to the jail because we kept calling, trying to go see him. We never received a phone call. We went up there on March 9th and asked how come we haven't gotten any phone calls from him. How come whenever we call to try to book a visit, they tell us he's on restriction. He can't have a visit. So they told us he had a bond. His bond was $6,000. Then the bond increased to $6,800. That was on a Friday. Our son was due to have a visit that Monday. Early Tuesday morning, about 1:30 in the morning, they came and told us our son was deceased. We never got to view our son. The officers came to our house, told us he was deceased and we weren't allowed to see him. They told us he was at the GBI. We went to the GBI later on that morning. Again, they wouldn't let us identify our son's body. So we asked, I said, how can officers come to our home and tell us our child is deceased and we never even see him? How do we even know if that's our son back there? We're not leaving until we see our son. They showed us a photo of our son from the neck up, and his eyes were bulging, and his lips were busted and bleeding, and his jaw was crooked, and his head looked deformed. And then they told us our son's cause of death was severe dehydration, which is a joke to us. We know what we saw in those photos, and we still don't even know what really happened to our son. We still don't have answers. Our son was 22 years old. He needed help. Not to be in jail for 9 days. And if he didn't die in that jail for 2 misdemeanors, how long would they have kept him? A $6,000 bond for 2 misdemeanors? It doesn't make sense. We never saw our son while he was in that jail. We never even had a phone call from him. And I'm gonna be honest, we couldn't afford the bond. My husband had a stroke. I'm my husband's primary caregiver. Our son left school and came home, came back to Georgia for a year to help me take care of his father. That's why he was back in Georgia. He wasn't even back in Georgia for 6 months before he was killed in that jail. And 2 months after our son died in that jail, a female was murdered in that same jail, Jamie Henry. Jamie Henry left behind a 5-year-old. And in the Rockdale County Jail, there has been 4 deputies arrested. One for stalking a female, a mother and her daughter. Another one for selling drugs in the jail. And a sergeant that was recently arrested, he was arrested for stealing $40,000 worth of guns out of the evidence locker. And he's the same sergeant that falsified the check logs when my son was in that jail. They said our son was in a suicide cell. He was supposed to have 15-minute checks. They never checked on him. Our son was dead in that cell for 3 to 4 hours before they even knew he was dead. We still have never seen video of what happened to our son leading up to the day of his death. All they told us is what they saw on video of him climbing up a wall, then going in a corner and sitting and dying. What led up to his death? Why haven't we seen those videos yet? Why are they still not releasing it? The district attorney has had his case since, what, May, June? We've had 3 meetings with them, and still nothing. Still no answers. We want to know what happened to our son, who's responsible, and we want them held accountable. Our son was murdered in that jail. You're going to tell me a 22-year-old that's in perfect health goes into a jail for 9 days and ends up dead? It doesn't make any sense. And we still have no answers?
And this is just, these are just 4 families. These are just 4 families here that are, speaking with you today. There are over 60 cases here in Georgia.
No, let me clarify that for you. It's over 100.
It's over 100.
It's over
It's
100.
like recent.
Yes.
African American is over 100.
They started
2018 was 80 alone, 70 or 80 alone was double.
Yeah, this is a record.
I mean, this is just, it's happening every day. And this is a civil rights state. This is Martin Luther King state, and like you said, we go out protesting, we have like maybe 20, 30 people with us, we get frustrated. We get so frustrated.
But a lot of the mothers, they don't come out anymore because they feel like it doesn't help, no one cares.
No support.
They got protest fatigue.
Right.
And the thing is that I protested around the time of the Super Bowl in Arizona. And I'm going to just share this real quick of how protesting is effective in these type of cases. My friend Romaine Brisbane was murdered by the Phoenix police in Arizona. He was heading home to bring home food for his children. He had 2 McDonald's bags in his hand. The children are excited. There was an officer that was just following him. So as the officer is following Romaine to the home, the children are excited. They open the door. There was the officer thought that Romaine had a gun in his pocket, but it was his prescription pill bottles that he had in his pocket. And the officer was tussling with him, and then he fell down. And then the officer, Romaine fell down, and then the officer shot him in his back and in front of his children and his children's mother. And then he shot him again in his back. He was shot 4 times by this officer. Immediately when it happened, and the mother called me and was like, the children's mother called me and said, I need you to come to Arizona and let's shake this city up. We protested for like 2 weeks consistently, and this was the month before Super Bowl that was happening in Phoenix. And the governor, we were shutting it down, like the light rail all downtown. And the governor called me and was like, when are you gonna get these people off the street? Like because we're losing so much money. Just in 1 weekend alone, the city of Phoenix lost $2 million. The reason why there's such a loss when we're shutting down light rails and public transportation, just these streets alone, the city loses money. This is why they think, this is why they like to push it out there like it's not doing anything, but it does do a lot. Then they brought in an infiltrator. At the time, we didn't know he was an infiltrator, but they brought him in to wag the dog to try to get us not to protest anymore. We continued to protest because the governor knew that Super Bowl and everyone is coming to Phoenix, and they didn't want us to continue to shut down the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, because they knew that they was going to lose a lot of money because a lot of people was coming into Phoenix during that time. We continued to protest, but then that infiltrator ended up going on the news with Sheriff Joe Arpaio and did like these skits of like, see, protesting doesn't do anything, and he did a ride along with the police, and the news followed him. So that began to, for the people that was in the streets protesting with us, it was like, oh man, like, we're not going to be a part of this anymore. So then Super Bowl, of course, nobody was protesting like that. At this time, it was about 50 of us. We did a balloon release on kickoff, for our loved ones. And so the thing is that it is effective, but fast forward, because of what we did during that time, the family of Romaine, his children, they got a $1.6 million settlement from the city of Phoenix because of the case. Because we brought a lot of awareness during that protest. But Super Bowl, the people of Super Bowl, as well as the city, they work very closely to make sure that everyone's coming here and that's that income being is so they're receiving funds and everything like that. My suggestion is that with your influence with these cases, and then you all could continue to give him what these are within, but making those calls, especially with this situation with her, with him, like all of these, and even like my friend here, my best friend, her son, he was 13 years old. He was shot in the back of his head as he's walking away from police around, his name is Travion Davis. It was around the same time as Trayvon Martin. And in that case is nothing. Like she didn't even continue to pursue it because the officers here in Georgia was infiltrating and calling the witnesses and saying do not make a statement and all that other stuff. And so because that's what they do. But if there's a coalition of influencers in Atlanta that look at these cases as I want to do something, is putting in a phone call or talking to these DAs, talking to the chief of police, or whoever is all involved to be able to say, you know what, let's reopen these cases, or let's continue to push this, let's investigate this more, and let's begin to start holding these officers accountable. And all it takes is a quick calling whoever, and everyone in your Rolodex, and like that's here, and like let's sit down with these people, or let me just call these people. And that's really, I feel that that's really where the frustration as us as grassroots organizers, as activists, and even the families are now activists, is that we, even within my ties and the relationships that I have, it's like, it's still not enough. Me and my son, it's still not enough. We putting these calls to, you know what I'm saying? So you, with your influence, that's my suggestion to you. And then is to put in these calls with certain people, like, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's help these people here locally.
Well, who have y'all called?
We said me.
I'm saying,
he said who have y'all called?
I know that Tip is always involved and is always helping us, especially around the time of with Shakisha Clemens, when she was sexually assaulted by the police with the Waffle House.
Another one. Jay Monet, she helped out.
Yeah, Janelle Monet, we protested with her. Remember when? Yeah, we protested with her.
These people involved for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Tim couldn't do it either, right?
Yeah, he's got an not affiliated Super Bowl event with Adidas. But as far as the rest of them, I don't know.
Okay. And I think it also goes down to proper education, because a lot of these artists, everyone is they're in that mode. Like I used to manage Wu-Tang, so even when I was managing the Clan, like I was in Wu-Tang world. Like everything was Wu-Tang entertainment. But so sometimes, a lot of these artists, as you know, everyone is focusing on themselves. But see, when you are doing music, you're speaking for people. And as many times as artists is like, man, I'm not responsible for other folks. I'm responsible for what I say and things like that. But no, if you really are, like you're from College Park. So you're representing College Park. You're representing Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So that's also engulfed with the people of Atlanta. And that also goes down to every artist. So I think a lot of the artists, especially if they haven't been around for a minute on like really being in the mud with the folks, then it's like, okay, this is what's happening in 2019, 2018. Like this is what's really going on in your own backyard. And let me educate you, re-up you real quick so you could be able to help us and amplify our voice. So.
All right. Well, I mean, like I said, I feel like ultimately, the thing that I would most over suggest is that y'all start reaching out to people, because that's not what happened with me. You understand what I'm saying? Reach out to people and try to get more people involved, because that's what you're telling me to do. And I feel like that should happen from all sides. You understand what I'm saying? You don't never know what somebody gonna do. Y'all ain't know I was gonna call. You know what I mean? Nobody know. Y'all thought I wasn't gonna hate this meeting, from what I heard. You understand what I'm saying? So, from where I'm from, you should reach out and let somebody tell you no or yes or whatever it is, and then I feel like it'll be in a different situation. Not doing that to me makes it quiet. It keeps it very quiet. and it makes each person think that somebody's thinking one way or thinking the other way. Like you said, you think people are all off in their world.
But with him saying that, my family and I, we have reached out to tons of people.
Yes.
Hundreds of people. But the thing is, being that they drop these false narratives on our children, and then I'm out here fighting, trying to correct it. Like a lot of times they kind of step back because they say, oh, they said this in the news because of the false narrative. So when you say reach out to, we've reached out to just about everybody.
And when everyone Googles the story, they're like, that's not, they're like, oh, nah, your son was guilty. Like, why are you saying that you on this? And that's usually what the issue is.
I mean, I'm just gonna go off of what he said. He just spoke. He said it's 5 people in Atlanta. When you think about Atlanta, ain't none of y'all called me. So you reached out to 100. I'm 101 that y'all ain't reach out to. If I'm a representative of this city, I'm supposed to be reached out to. You give me the option to tell y'all I don't want to have nothing to do with it. But if you don't do that, then you can't. I don't see how you can be frustrated about what I'm doing. You understand what I'm saying? You can't be frustrated by what I'm doing if nobody has reached out to me. If I ain't had this meeting with y'all, if I ain't called my son, if I ain't reach out to you, if I ain't even speak to you directly on Instagram, then yeah, you could be like, fuck JD, excuse my French, but I'm saying that's the attitude you can have. But none of that happened, right? And like he said, I'm here to move forward. If y'all want to use the platform, it's to y'all to use the platform. Making calls, and when I get in these rooms and this, that, and third, I'll definitely bring it up and see, where it can go. I'm not educated enough to just start speaking on this, to just be throwing this out on people, so I'm not getting ready to do that. But like I said, I'm getting my education from this meeting. It's the first time I ever heard your story. First time I heard your story. First time I heard your real story, and the first time you tell me things and yours. So I'm gonna walk away with a different type of mentality. But like I said, once again, when you speak about Atlanta, this is what I want everybody to be clear about, me outside of this room, everybody. Anything that happens in this city, I don't care what it's got, I don't have nothing to do with Super Bowl. I don't have nothing to do with Kaepernick. I never even spoke to him. The Super Bowl is coming to my city. And it's coming to a place where I've lived my whole life. Before it was social media. Before people was out here doing what they doing. Before anybody cared about this city. When Maynard Jackson was still alive, I was here. At his house. I've been a part of this city before that airport was built. So, this city runs, it's in my blood. To turn my back when people come into this city to continue to help this city do what it's got to do, it's no way possible I'm going to do that. It don't make sense. It don't make sense for people that's in my neighborhood and in my community that don't understand nothing that y'all talking about, and probably don't even have the information that y'all, let me say that, they don't have y'all information. So it's people in my hood, College Park, that's going to be like, JD, why you leave town when the city, blah, 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 blah. They not going to understand that, right? That's my responsibility, and I've been that person. I've been a person standing up for this city. I take all the shots. So everything that happens, it don't matter. When it happens and it got something to do with Atlanta, I'm taking all the shots. I take kids on my TV show to Martin Luther King, to the center that live in this city that ain't never been to Martin Luther King Center. People that's from College Park that ain't never been to the Martin Luther King Center. It's all that type of stuff going on in this city. I do all that. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm offering my platform. It's on y'all. How y'all want to use it. You tell me what to do, and we make it happen. I have not spoken to nobody from the NFL about this, by the way. I'm telling you, as myself being the runner of what I'm doing, I don't have to speak to nobody. Somebody might have a problem with it. That's on them. But as far as I'm concerned, this is what I said I was going to do. And that's me doing my part.
That's it. Okay, let's take a picture. I want to take a picture. Everybody take a picture.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
I mean, you got no sense. They asked everybody in the round room. They got to you. You said it's one day.
No, this is the thing. The only thing I wanted to have, man, was an understanding. Like, when I was saying, you know, I understand you gotta eat. You in entertainment, you in the music industry, man. You supposed to be doing what you're doing. I'm not here to knock that. I'm not saying, hey, stop doing what you're doing and, you know, start protesting every day, because to me that would dilute your platform. That would dilute your platform. I would never ask you to step away from that. What I'm saying is that let's do whatever we're gonna do Super Bowl day. Let's do that, because you got a platform. But man, you got Jermaine Dupri from Atlanta, man. Like, you responsible for damn near 60 to 70, maybe 80%. I don't know how to cut you, bro. I know you.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. You might be responsible for 85% of the music that we hear on the radio in Atlanta in some way, in some type of way. So you don't just have a platform Super Bowl, right? You got a platform anywhere it's brought up. And I think the frustration that came about was that so many people looked to you and were waiting for you. When you were asked that question, I think your answer was delivered in a way that everybody didn't accept. That's what I think. I don't think you had a personal disrespect for what we do with the protest, because I'm gonna tell you, brother, when my son got killed, my son is Darius Kane Rogers. Kane. You see Jessica Kane? That's him. Man, he was gunned down. I walked into the NAACP with me, my brother, that's Kane's uncle. That's Kane's uncle, my cousin. We walked in there, and I didn't have any answers. I never protested anything in my life. I speak on things all the time. When I walked into his office, he stood up, he said, man, I'm getting ready to call Kasim Reed right now. And I was like, you gonna call Kasim? He said, I got to. Because, man, nobody knows about this. And I understand. They will sweep your situation on the rug. Until we got out and started speaking, we had a 24-hour up all night for justice protest before the cop that murdered my son went before a grand jury. He was indicted. They dropped his indictment, what was it, 2 months ago? 2 months ago. He was re-indicted. They didn't even have to hear the whole, they didn't want to hear no more witnesses. They said, man, hey, let's re-indict him because there's that much guilt in the case. I know you don't know this story. I know you don't know this story because they only speak on it really when we get ready to go to court. Yeah, like we're going to court. We're going to court Monday. They'll have something on with Sunday night. But when it first happened, man, they had my son as a car break-in suspect. My brother right there, man. I spent 2 weeks trying to prove my son wasn't breaking into a car. My brother's, you know, he's like, yo, D, it doesn't matter. He could have been breaking into a car. That didn't warrant the cop blowing his brains out. So I know what it is to not be educated on, you know, and when I say not educated, because they do not push the facts. They put that false narrative out there. First of all, whenever there's a police shooting, the media will automatically side with the officer. That is a rule. And if anybody thinks there's anything different, you're mistaken. That's a rule.
That's a justification.
Yeah, that's a rule.
They're gonna say you had a parking ticket when you was 5. You know, you jumped the
you stole a nail
everything.
You know, Jack, you stole a nail later.
So just for me, in my education before we leave, what's the goal?
Well, the goal, the original, you know, unfortunately, Cabinet took a need to highlight these injustices.
Yeah.
Why would the NFL see something wrong with somebody wanting to make sure people knew that black people were being killed by police? So when you punish him, and then you scare everybody else from talking to people from these communities that come from the communities where we being killed at, then you're trying to silence the reality of our people. So if we don't utilize our platforms, our voices to stand with him, then that means that they can just keep killing us.
Yeah, but his niece kneeling wasn't connected to this at first.
It always was. That was the first thing they got a whole video. They said, why are you? He said, because black people are being killed and nobody's saying anything about it. So until this country takes understanding or willing to talk about those things, then I'm going to take a knee every time. That was all the knee was about. It was never about nothing else.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. So, but still, in all, right, getting these stories out, what's the goal?
But the goal is because when like we say, we asking people to utilize their platform. So if people, the NFL can penalize someone for utilizing his platform to speak on our behalf, not doing anything illegal, still playing football before the game start. He don't have to do what you tell him to do. He can have his own religious belief. When you can penalize somebody, only thing you penalize them because it's about black people. Yeah. They don't say nothing about when they have white issues or things that come up. They invest money into them.
Breast cancer.
They do all these type of video commercials. They come to the community and they build. Why wouldn't then they say, you know what, we want to build police and community thing. We're going to invest a couple of $1 million into the police and the community. Sit there. No, that's never happened. Still hasn't happened. And they still penalizing people who protest.
Yeah, but outside of NFL, so what is the goal?
The goal is ultimately the police that we change laws to where police who murder people are going to jail. Right. So we can't get that done if the people who speak on our behalf are penalized. So we got to continue to boycott the NFL until they realize we cannot penalize people who are willing to speak on behalf of any organization that's going to penalize somebody that wants to talk about things that's going on in our community that's directly impacting us. How can we support that?
And do you know that these police officers are being promoted?
How can we support that? If you can kill us and take our money, why are you going to stop killing us?
My grandfather said that, 1.2 trillion?
We got 1.2 trillion in spending money. So
why
black
people? So after Justice Arrest, he said the real work happens after this march. So he did a boycott. He said we're going to go ahead and boycott Black Friday all month of November, December. During that time of him using his influence, calling out a boycott, there was Targets, malls, Walmarts all shut down because of the influence he has over black people. That's saying we're not going to spend no more money and start putting our money into black communities. So you too, and those within your peers, have that same type of influence to be able to say, okay, you know what? Let's start building our own.
So we can talk about the things
whatever you feel the solution after listening to these stories, and you're like, you know what? I know the mayor.
And the police.
I could just sit there in the room and just call the room and have those that are organizers and activists and the parents, and for us to be able to come with a game plan, and I just be in the room. I'll call the meeting. I have Future there, Luda there, T.I. there, and we just sit there. But because see, like I said, there's different positions in revolution. And it's different positions in the movement on empowering our people and empowering our community and our nation. You have the world at your fingertip, not just Atlanta, but the world.
Not to cut you off, but that's why I'm asking what the goal is.
Right.
The goal is to make us independent. The goal is for us to own our own. Bottom line, because if we don't start building within our own, if you don't sit down with 10 people and say, yo, you know what, we're going to invest in here to where we can have our own conversation. And then you're like, damn, they invested in there? 20 old people want to say, yo, I want to invest with JD. I want to invest with this person. We all building our own shit. Because what happens when the NFL controls our narrative, when the NFL can fire us whenever they want, then we stuck. So if we don't start continue to build our own stuff and start saying, you know what, we're gonna move a little bit away from them. Even the parties that we do is gonna have nothing to do with the NFL. We're not gonna support them. We're gonna start building our own slowly but surely. But the mind state has to be there. We gotta create the mind state to where we build it.
With the NBA, he started.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta support stuff like that. You see that? We gotta say, you know what? Ice Cube just did that. Let us do our own shit. So now Ice Cube can go up there and talk about what he wants to. He can go up there and somebody can kneel there and he can support that. Kaepernick can go in there, middle and kneel. See, that's the goal for us.
So ultimately, the goal is the implementation of the 21st Century Police Initiative that Obama came up with after Ferguson, which will address these systemic problems within the police department. Mayor Robbins has not addressed that in the year that she's been in office. I've spoken with Chief Shields. She has not fully addressed these issues. So that's why we continue to want to get Officer Burns convicted. We want to make sure that these officers that killed Jermaine Robinson are convicted so we can have that pressure. So that's the ultimate goal. And I think that if you lend your voice, thank you again for opening your platform. But if we could join in a partnership where we can have those conversations, we will bring the experts. We'll sit the platform down in front of the mayor. She can stroke a pen like she did in clearing the jail from all of the ICE detainees after we had that protest.
After we shut down
together. She didn't do it on her own. We did that. And so we can have that conversation. But first, it means we have to raise the awareness. Standing with you and the others, we can make that happen.
All right.
since the plantation.
Who gonna take this?
I'm cool with him playing football.
It's a lot. So that's what I'm saying.
But everybody like that's his homeboy. If that's his man, and you want to stand with the situation based on what you saying, I don't understand how everybody's cool with him playing every Sunday. And if they go to the Super Bowl, he will be here jumping around in Atlanta as if they won, and everybody cool with his man. And they saying that's his man.
But you know what the issue is? The issue for me it comes from this. I understand them having a job, and I'm not really mad that people playing in the NFL because I don't have a way to give you no money. So I can't tell you not to do your job. Just like I can't tell you not to do a concert scene. But utilize your platform. That's what I'm asking. But also, I think it's from us outside because what happens is they'll get hurt every day. There's always somebody there. So I don't hold them to that same standard that I hold us outside who are able to fund and able to utilize our platform to make sure that we stop money from them.
Yeah, but it's a tad bit confusing when I ask you to go. You say, JD, we want to start our own thing. We want to support what we doing. Kaepernick kneel. Eric kneel. Eric plays. At that particular point, I'm young. My young community, they looking at it like, okay, well,
if his man playing, then what's up?
Yeah, what's going on? What's happening? Like, I hear what you're saying.
But the masses.
But the masses, because it's just like I told y'all about Waffle House. This Atlanta, man. I don't know nobody that don't go to Waffle House. And they done heard the protest. I even had to ask the question, is it a protest? I see a line at Waffle House.
Somebody had to get whipped.
But JD, what the thing is,
somebody got to get whipped, man.
Somebody,
I feel you. I'm just saying.
Everybody can run. That's why Harry had the shotgun.
But I think when it comes to Eric Griggs,
everybody don't want to be free. Some folks just want to build a slave
Colin never came out and said we're not going to play football. But he said when we come out here, we're going to take a knee.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. That's the message.
Yeah.
If that's the message that you got, that's the same message I was saying. I'm not, I don't even want to hash back over what we talking about. But the conversation that he and I had was basically that. Listen, I'm not dissing people that protest. Right? That's what it said I was doing. What I was saying was I prefer to use my platform.
That's perfectly fine.
Right? That's what I said. And that's what you saying, he's saying. We ain't saying we ain't gonna play football, but we gonna take a knee so y'all know about so you know what's going on, right? That's what I'm saying. That's where the confusion came from me, and I'm still confused by the whole situation. They're gonna have to explain that to me. Because I feel like you got certain people like you that's really, really going super hard for what Kaepernick doing, and then you got Eric over here playing, and it's a lot of the whole aspect.
That's been part of the movement for years.
That's why we have never. That's why we never got where we supposed to get.
So
I mean, but I don't know. I think.
Thank you for saying it.
How do you?
What did you say? Some people stayed in the house after slavery.
Yeah, some people still in the house. They still in the house, but they became sharecroppers because they was afraid to leave off the plantation. Yeah, let's do that.